Hi guys, welcome back to another Minimalism Monday, probably being posted on a Tuesday. Sorry about that. I've been sick all week with bronchitis and really not feeling on top of the world and just kind of like drained with antibiotics and steroids and all kinds of medicines. So I decided to make this little chit-chatty video, this little sit-down video that I think will be very enjoyable and informative for all of you guys. For those of you that are new, welcome to my channel. My name is Valerie, and I make videos for you all about life in New York City, especially as a minimalist, living well while on a budget. In this video today, I would like to basically tell you my story as to why I became a minimalist and what sparked my interest in being a minimalist to benefit my life. So as you guys know, I live in New York City and I have done for decades. I was born and raised in Long Island, where I spent my childhood up until I was about 13 years old. And we lived in a 3-bedroom house that had an incredible amount of storage for any house. I mean, there were walk-in closets. It had a detached garage that the side opened up. I mean, there was just so much storage, I can't tell you. But let's backtrack a little bit about my family, who unfortunately is no longer with us, who I was incredibly close to and very fortunate to have had. And when I say my family, we're going to talk about my mom's side because my parents were separated, so that does not come into the story. So my family on my mom's side comes from England, and they immigrated here in 1954. So being that 1954 is such a long time ago and things were very different, like many people did back then, they came by boat and they sent their possessions ahead of time. And when I say possessions, like probably in this day and age, if you move to a foreign country, you don't take that much with you, or you certainly don't take all of your furniture unless it's very meaningful to you or special antique or there's some story behind it. But I don't think in this day and age you would say, okay, so the family of 5 with 5 beds, we're going to just ship out beds. No, you buy new beds and new mattresses. Okay. But it was different back then. So not only did they ship all of their belongings, they shipped everything. And the furniture back then was so big, it did not even fit in the new house. It literally had to be, my mom told me that the furniture was literally so big that I don't know how they did this. They couldn't bring it up the stairs. It didn't fit in the house. But to go to the second floor where the bedrooms were, this wasn't in the house that I was born in. It was in a different house. This house that I'm talking about was in Great Neck, Long Island. And they somehow had to get like a crane to lift up the furniture, literally took the windows off the second floor and pulled it into the house. I'm not kidding. So that's the story of the furniture. But there's more. My mom loved to read, and she spoke a few languages. She spoke French and English, and she was a great student. Here in the public schools in New York, and I'm sure all over the country, the kids can order books to read through the school, and they're at a discounted price. So she had that, but now it's all paperback. Back then it was all hardcovers, and I guess she bought a lot. So other than the furniture, there were crates. Like, they weren't crates, they were like these big wicker trunks, containers, shipping container things. And she had, I think, 8 of those filled with books. Okay, there was just a lot of stuff. And of course there was the cost of shipping it here, but they really believed that it was negligible compared to what it would be to purchase things in America post World War II. Okay. So that's how things started out. And I'm leaving out, all the kitchen stuff and the massive amount of kitchen stuff and all of it. And, we're going back in the day where you didn't send out for Chinese food. You would, have people over to formal dinners, right? So you had service for 12 of the everyday china and the special china. You can see where I'm going with this. There was just a massive, huge amount of stuff. So things did not go very well when they first came here financially, because there were jobs that were promised that didn't come through and things like that. So about 6 years later, they moved out of this big house in Great Neck into a smaller house. But it was still a good size house, and that's where I grew up. It was a 3-bedroom house, but it had the living room and the den and all of the storage that I spoke about earlier in this video. So they sold a lot of the furniture that was just too big for this house to accommodate it. It was a normal size house, and they bought cheap furniture, like really cheap furniture. And I still have that furniture today. It's absolutely fine. So growing up, things, I wouldn't say that we were dirt poor, but things were financially very difficult. There was my mom and my grandparents and me living together, and my grandmother had stopped working by the time that I came along. My grandfather was not in good health, and he was a seasonal good humor man on the truck. Anyway, so I was brought up, I would say, not to be materialistic as far as, when it came time to buy gifts for each other. It wasn't like, oh, the gift wasn't expensive, therefore you don't care about me. No, it was absolutely nothing like that. But I did grow up valuing things over experiences. And I've now learned that is not the way to go. Because if you think about it, if you think back, how many gifts can you remember as a child? But I promise you, you can remember the experiences. If you went on vacations when you were a child, you probably remember something about them, or at least remember that you went. Or maybe if it was your birthday and you went to a really, really special restaurant, you might remember that. But the clothes that you got and the toys that you got and the things that you got that you no longer have, you're not going to remember. So the point of this video and how this all comes together with being a minimalist is, as my family passed away over time, there was all of this stuff to go through that really, truthfully, it crippled my family little by little. They became ill. They couldn't take care of all this stuff. My mom never had a chance to read all of those books that she had been saving and saving and saving. There was always talk about, oh, I have to declutter. And there was like moving stuff all over the place. My mom was a meticulous person, meticulous when it came to house cleaning. But she kept hold of all of this stuff. And the truth is, it did not bring her happiness. It really didn't. What would have made her happy was having the time and having the freedom of not having to think about all this stuff. Because it's true. It can be clutter, or it could be neatly in a box in your closet, just filling it up. And for those of you that don't own homes, like now I'm in an apartment and I have been, especially those of you that lose a family member that you don't live with, and the house has to be sold or the apartment has to be given up, and you're on a time frame to go through this stuff. And truthfully, if you're wealthy and you just take the 2 or 3 mementos and the rest of it is just sent off to a charity, that's one thing. But we were never in that position. It was always, what can we sell? What can we use? So I'm asking you to think about this topic, especially if you have kids, and especially if you're getting older, just to really think about all of this. And don't do this to your kids. Don't burden them with all this stuff they don't want. By all means, keep the things that are really going to be important to them. But if you're keeping things, my mom even kept toys. I mean, if you're keeping things like that for when you have children or for your grandchildren, okay? It's no different than keeping the clothes that just are never ever going to fit, right? We've all done it, and it just takes up the space in the closet. It makes us feel guilty for not losing those 10 pounds or 5 pounds or whatever that we didn't lose, and then eventually it gets sold or given to Goodwill. So like I was saying, the experiences are what we remember. One gift this past Valentine's Day that I received was a housekeeper for a day. That was so great, all right? I mean, it did, especially not being that well. That was a luxury that I've never had before. I've never had a housekeeper. And to have someone for the day that did the really heavy work and cleaned the oven and cleaned the floors and did all the laundry and kind of fixed everything, I promise you, that I will remember. Next year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, I will remember. But if it had been the normal Valentine's Day gift of flowers or candy, or even a restaurant, unless it was incredibly different, I wouldn't remember it. And I'd like to say thank you to you guys for hanging in there with me, because I know that I have not been very good at posting. When I say that I'm going to upload a video, I don't necessarily do it when I say that I have. And because I haven't been well and a lot of things have been going on, the construction is at a little standstill right now, but it's getting there, promise you. And I'm not going to make you a promise by next week, but there's a good chance that I will at least be able to film the living room for you. So your task for this week is to really think. You don't necessarily have to physically do it if you're not up to that yet in your journey of decluttering, and we haven't even started decluttering on this channel yet, but we are going to do that as well. Why don't you just make a list, okay? Especially if you have children or grandchildren, just make a list of a few things that they've either always admired or something that is really, really special within your family that you want to pass down to them. Don't just automatically say, oh, my daughter would just appreciate the good china. Oh, my son, he would just love to have that collection of World War II memorabilia. Whatever it is, see if it's something that they really, really want. That with the money you're going to be saving by watching and subscribing to this channel. So there's a little plug. I'd appreciate it so much if you guys would subscribe, and really you will benefit so much from this channel, I promise you. I'm going to show you how to save money. And with that money that you're going to be saving, which will be considerable, because you will have lists of things that you will no longer be purchasing. And you're probably going to be selling a lot of the things that you're going to be decluttering. And you're going to be saving so much time in the house, you could even get a part-time job if you wanted. So with all the money that you're going to be saving because you're subscribed to this channel, make another list of all the things that you want to purchase that are services. For example, that are services or vacations or things of that nature. Do you want a housekeeper? Do you want a few extra mini vacations every year? Do you want to go for a spa treatment, a facial? Do you want to join a gym? Do you want to take a yoga class, learn a different language? Whatever it is that floats your boat, you're going to have the extra money to do that. And I promise you, that is what you're going to remember, because you really do get a lot more enjoyment out of experiences than things. So, that is the conclusion of this video for today. That's why it's entitled, Do Not Do This to Your Kids. Because any of you that are watching that have been through what I have talked about, going through parents decluttering your parents' belongings when they pass on, will understand this video. And for those of you that are not in that position yet, this video really helped you guys out, and I'm sure I'll be feeling better next week. And that's it. So thanks again for watching. Please subscribe, and please give this video a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Just hit that little red subscribe button down there and give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.